Good morning. I'm delighted to be here in this beautiful city of Amsterdam. It's such a fabulous international city. Last night we were coming back from dinner and I saw a store that said Dockers from San Francisco, and another store that said pizza from New York, and another one from London, and of course the one from Amsterdam was Sissy Boys. So I felt, I don't know, very much at home here in Amsterdam. And happy that today is finally taking place. As most of you know, it takes a village to plan an event like this one. And in the case of today's wonderful conference, the Village is a committed, wonderful group of women who are committed to LGBT workplace equality. And I feel privileged and honored to be able to call them my colleagues and friends. The planning of today's event really kind of reminded me of the early days of planning some of the Out and Equal workplace summits. The first year, it was in 1999, and we had close to 200 people at the summit. And it was organized by a wonderful group of volunteers and myself as the only staff person. And about a week and a half ago, we had our Out and Equal Workplace Summit in Dallas, Texas. And over 2,600 people were there in attendance from nearly 30 countries. So we've clearly come a long way since then, and I look forward to seeing the growth of the L Women at Work conference year after year until we get to 3,000 people. But it really, it takes a village. It's really about the importance of community. And community, I think, in so many ways, is the foundation of the LGBT workplace equality movement. And certainly, it's the foundation of my work with Out and Equal. 14 years ago, when I started Out and Equal, I wanted to create an organization that was first and foremost a community of committed LGBT people and our allies who are passionate about creating a more inclusive workplace for the LGBT community. I think I'd hoped in many ways that this organization, to create an organization that might have been there for me when I was struggling with my own issues around coming out. I started my career in Dallas, Texas as a teacher and a guidance counselor. And a lot of things have changed since then. At the time, I taught school, I was going to church a lot, and I dated men and kept trying to figure out why I kept falling in love with their sisters. Eventually, I moved to the San Francisco Bay Area to pursue a new career as a Presbyterian minister. And some of you have heard the story, but in the very first month of seminary, I fell in love for the first time with a woman, surprise, and came out finally to myself as a lesbian. And the very same month, I realized that the Presbyterian Church was not as thrilled with this realization as I was. And in fact, if I chose to live my life openly and honestly, the church would not allow me to follow this chosen career path. So regardless of my abilities, my commitment, my passion, I would not be able to get ordained if I lived my life openly and honestly. If I lived my life as a lie, surprise, I'll ordain you. So during this time, as you can imagine, it was a difficult time in my life. And I was trying to decide what to do with my life. And a woman said to me, Celise, if you're going to be a minister, how do you plan to talk to people about love if you can't talk about who you love? And that kind of hit me with a ton of bricks, and I thought, I'm going to come on out. And I came out realizing I was not going to be able to get ordained or get a job, so I started an organization. And the organization was called SLUTS, which stood for Seminary Lesbians Under Theological Stress. It was a very committed constituency, but somewhat limited in scope. So from there, I went on to start Out and Equal Workplace Advocates, because I believe now, as I did then, that no one should ever have to choose between a career we love and living our lives with authenticity and integrity. And I really think that this is part of all of our journeys, that journey toward authenticity, of feeling comfortable in our own skins. Have you noticed that when we feel comfortable with who we are, other people just feel comfortable around us? And when we use our energy hiding who we are, changing pronouns, having to, not letting people really know us, we live in this perpetual state of alienation. So our journey is really to become real and to live into our beautiful, quirky, fun, and amazing authenticity. And once we embrace who we are, then it's time to reach out to others and make the journey an easier one for those who come after us. Last June, I had the privilege of speaking in Budapest at the second annual LGBT Hungarian Business Forum. I felt like we'd made a lot of strides in Out and Equal, and wanted to share best practices and some of the wisdom that we had learned on our journey with our brothers and sisters in Hungary. And so I was one of the keynote speakers, and at one point in my speech, I introduced my lovely wife, Cynthia. And Cynthia's father's family is from Hungary, so we did a little roots tour. And then, of course, well, not of course, but then I went on to give what I thought might have been a very educational and inspiring speech. So when it came time for Q&A, I was all ready to answer questions about spousal equivalency programs and domestic partner benefits. All anyone wanted to talk about was the fact that I had used the word wife to introduce Cynthia. It was like a revelation to them. They had never heard that word used before and had never really talked to anybody that had been legally married. And so all anybody wanted to talk about was we got married in this little window of opportunity in the state of California. There were 18,000 people, it was legal, and then it wasn't legal. So we had that privilege to get married. But to these wonderful people in Hungary, it was just a revelation, and they were delighted, shocked and delighted to think that marriage equality really could be a reality for them and one day in Hungary. So I think we really are a global family, and I think for everyone, regardless of where we live, authenticity is a vital part of our journey as LGBT people and our allies. And once we get there, then it's time to reach out to others and work to make a difference for the broader community. Out and Equal is really about celebrating the power of community as we continue our work together for LGBT equality in workplaces around the world. For those of you that aren't familiar with Out and Equal, I want to just say a little bit. I know Jean mentioned a few things, but the biggest event we do, of course, is the Out and Equal Workplace Summit, which, again, we just had in Dallas just a week and a half ago with over 2,600 people. And at the end of my presentation, I want to just show you a few of the highlights of the summit, because it really gives you a chance to see some of the excitement of the Out and Equal Summit. We also have a program for LGBT senior executives, the Executive Forum. We offer LGBT diversity training for companies, and we support LGBT employees in companies, large and small, but most of the people that are our constituents work in larger companies and are members of employee resource groups. We're based in the United States. Our offices are in San Francisco, but our work has really become global because so many of our constituents are from around the world. So we're very excited about planning the first global LGBT Workplace Summit, which will coincide World Pride in London, July 4th, 5th, and 6th in 2012. So make sure that you plan to join us in London in July, because it's going to be an amazing event. And we'll also be in Baltimore at the end of October. But the summits are really about community and celebrating our global community. Just get it. go to the, oh, that's not the right button. Oh, there's our website, just FYI. But the point of community is to remind us that we're not alone in this work. We're all really in this together, which brings me back to the importance of community and the importance of being visible role models for one another. I think everyone in this room is a powerful role model. And the women that I had the privilege to work with on the planning committee of this event are also wonderful and amazing role models. Oh, and there we are. Sophia is the CEO of a growing company. She travels all over the world and still has time to send entertaining emails from Asia, Switzerland, or wherever she happens to be. And she gives back to the community by being president-elect of the European Gay Managers Association and provides leadership for Vibranet. Marian has her own business, very busy, and still gives back to the community by her involvement in company Pride Platform and Lesbians. Becky and Pernilla have very busy lives, day jobs, and also find time for their passion for LGBT equality with Q Factor. Sylvie has a busy day job with IBM, a partner, Sylvie, and a daughter, Kay, and she too gives back to the community through her work with Out and Equal and all the organizations that want a piece of Sylvie. Tracy works more than full-time with Citi and finds time to support the work of Out and Equal and the Gay Women's Network in between trips to Texas and New York. My colleague Danny works full-time for Out and Equal and works many more hours on events like the Out and Equal Workplace Summit, the L Women Conference, and the Global Summit in London. Claudia, as we all know, has a very big job at IBM and is committed to the LGBT community and the lesbian, bisexual, and transgender women's community within the broader community. Her work with IBM and beyond was honored in Dallas just a week and a half ago with the Out and Equal Trailblazer Award, and she gives back to the community in so many ways, not the least of which is as the chair of the Global Advisory Committee for Out and Equal, which we so appreciate, and really all of the women serve on that committee, which is fabulous. But all of these women are all of our role models, and we don't have to think about our mentors as being someone who's a lot older than us or has had different kinds of successes in their lives. All of us, regardless of our age or our experience, are really role models for each other. And I know that everyone in this room is willing to give of your time, your resources, your talents, your passion to help move us closer to our goal of true equality and freedom as lesbian, bisexual, and transgender women. So where do we go from here? We know and value the importance of community. We're invited to come out to our families, our friends, our colleagues, so that we can live our lives with authenticity and freedom. And when we experience that, then it's time to reach out and give back and to become a role model for other people. So now it's time to dream big. I want to encourage all of us to ask for what we want. How many people are good at that? Great. Just ask. We've got a few people. Next year, we're going to have even more because this is going to be our little assignment. We're all going to be asking for what we want. And don't be afraid to ask. And I'm talking about, let's start something, well, not that simple, but okay, asking someone for a date, for example, shouldn't be that hard. Asking someone to be your mentor shouldn't be that hard. Or asking the universe to provide you with a great job or a great boss or a wonderful partner. And then when we're in gatherings like this one, we can collectively dream of the world where LGBT people and women are valued and celebrated. And as I mentioned before, at the end of my remarks, I want to share with you some of the highlights of our summit in Dallas, because I think it really is a tribute to dreaming of a world together where our community is celebrated and applauded. So together, let's continue to dream of a world where every lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender person on the planet can be out and equal at work and at home. And we can all celebrate our community, live our lives with authenticity, and become visible role models for each other. So thank you for the work that you do every single day, making a difference and changing the world, one cubicle and one workplace at a time. Thank you very much.